Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Benjamin Breaker Novotny, and I'm back with another replay that I took from the subreddit Casted. Of course, this one's already been casted, but I figured out why on earth not give it a shot at casting it myself. So here I am, in the upper left-hand corner, spawning as our red Zerg. It's coming from Team XP, Prodigy. I do believe I've casted this guy before, or at least I might have seen him playing before. Who knows, I might have run across him back on the NA ladder, back when I was in North America. At the time, anyway. Lower left-hand corner, spawning as our blue Protoss. It's going to be dipwood. Alright, so I'm wondering just what on earth we're going to see coming from both sides. It's interesting to note that this is not the Gallic interface that I am accustomed to using. That's a little bit strange. There should be that option to put each player's name at the top, but okay, well, no matter. Let's try this. Nah, okay, forget about it. Not too terribly important at the moment, but we do have Prodigy moving out to scout, and what is that we have in production? That looks to be much the tune of a 7 pool. There's no Overlord following this up, so this leads me to believe that with this pool, it's just probably, we could see an extractor trick or two, but I think the most likely scenario that we will in fact see will be drones being pulled, but dipwood is actually going for a gateway first. Well, let's find out how this works out. There we go. Drone's moving. It's moving. It's going out for the scout. Gonna see that there's nothing there, and by process of elimination, Prodigy knows that his opponent does not spawn in the upper right-hand corner of the map. Dipwood's being a little bit lazy here, though. He isn't sending those links out just yet. I'm not entirely sure what the decision or rationale is for this. It could just be, excuse me, not dipwood, but rather Prodigy. I'm not entirely sure what the oh, there we go, rationale is. And I think, yep, there we go. He's gonna pull all the drones with this. All right, well, and no, boy, he's not even leaving a couple back at home to mine from. Well, we're about to see how this is gonna get interesting, by the way. Let's see how this pans out. Gateway is done. There is no zealot started just yet. Dipwood is supply blocked at this moment, and I'm not entirely sure if he was able to catch on to these lings moving out just yet. Lower right-hand corner, the drone does, of course, appear. But, uh-oh. Here we are. Prodigy's just going for it. The natural should be canceled. He's going to have to cancel it if he wants to keep his economy alive. Oh, boy, he doesn't. All right, well, he does now. He does now, just as I mentioned it. And he's going for a second gateway. He's going to have to do what he can to keep those probes alive. He's got enough economy to actually go through and make some zealots as soon as it's done. But let's see how this goes out. The probes are getting smashed. Drones will as well. Zealot pops out, but it's not actually until it loses all of its shields that's actually dealing out any damage. And now we're going to have almost all the probes go down here. This is only 5 left. The main target here for Prodigy is probes. If he has economy and his opponent has none, he's good to go. But oh my god, all the probes are gone. The drones are going back to mining now. There is a zealot on the way, but dipwood can, in theory, go ahead and make some drones if he wants to. But what's this, you say? There's 3 lings and a zealot's about to finish. There's no way 3 lings win versus a zealot. Not with all the micro in the world. It takes at least 4. That second gateway is canceled, and now we see dipwood is going back to making probes. Those drones are now busily on their way across the map, excuse me, what I'm aiming to say here. And that means we're going to have a huge economic lead for our Zerg over our Protoss. And all he has to do is basically out micro his opponent. Now we've got probes versus drones here. This is the race of economy. Nothing in production. Going straight to units for the time being. We're going to have... Ooh, dipwood. He's doing a good job so far. I think he has a feasible chance here. He has a very viable shot at winning this game. Especially if those lings are shut down. Back at home, Prodigy's gonna have to make nothing but lings if he wants to defend against those zealots. Like, if these 2 lings are shut down, then that basically means dipwood has all the power in the world to move out if he wants. In theory, if he had the economy to do so, he could make a mothership core now and just win the game outright. But no. I imagine a queen would be on the way relatively soon thereafter the mothership getting started. So, no reason to rush that. On top of that, nothing here shoots up, so that Overlord is in such a gracious position right now. Prodigy is going to have uncontested vision at this point. Once this pylon goes down, if it goes down, that is to say, rather. Ooh. What's that? I just saw Prodigy. Oh, okay, he did a double extractor trick back at home. So now he is supply blocked. And he's going to make another Overlord. One Ling, one Zealot, no brainer. But at the same time, I mean, I feel like this is kind of one of those games that might be on a limited time scale. For Prodigy, I don't know. This is one of those strange things. I've never seen a Protoss come back from losing every last single one of his probes. It is remarkable to note that, and I did win once a ZVZ where I lost every single one of my drones, but I still had some economy, and I still had plenty of Zerglings left over, and it was basically a Speedling, Baneling all in. Now that is a huge number of workers here for Prodigy, but not that much bigger than that of his opponents. It's hard to forget that at one point, Prodigy was, like, dipwood had absolutely 0 workers. So what happens now? These Zealots are just going to sit here, gawk for a little bit, and think, okay, well, gee willikers, what do we do here? At this point in the game, I'd say it's safe for Prodigy to go ahead and take an Expo, but I'm not sure if that's the move he wants to make. And by the way, in case you guys haven't played StarCraft in a while, StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm, that is to say, the Swarm Host nerf has now kicked in, and that means Mass Swarm Host is now no longer viable. Here we go. Natural goes down, and drones are continuing to mine gas here. A few map controllings are on the way. Actually, yeah, map controllings. This isn't enough. Like, one base, he's not going to kill his opponent on one base. That's not going to happen anytime soon. But there's a forge going down right now to pick up for the slack. And I do like this move because dipwood, the one thing he's put all of his effort into in this game is getting his minerals. Getting his economy back online. I'd say at this point Prodigy is just was completely unaware of that Overlord at its location, and now he's coming back in here. He's gonna see just what there is from our Protoss, and I don't think gateway attack was ever started. No, it wasn't. So dipwood's kind of in a bit of an awkward way right now, but the wall off is on the way. If we can see him get that online, we're gonna see Prodigy in a position where he just can't break through, but it looks like, oh, that position is just about done and ready to go. One cannon. That's all it takes. One cannon. Oh no. Oh no. The Zealot went lazy. The Lings, they're getting in! Uh-oh. Okay, well, now might be the time to pull them to the natural. That Overlord acting like a retard magnet, as one Stephen Bonnell would say. One more probe will go down to the fray. That Stalker surrounded. Ling's coming back in here. Stalker goes down, and that is not bad. I mean, one Stalker and one probe for that many Lings is pretty okay. The Zealot's gonna stick around here and take care of this, and Prodigy forfeits all of those Lings. But I do want to go ahead and highlight that subtract 10 Lings from this. You're talking about 6 larvae. There could be 6 more drones than there already are right now here for our Zerg. So I'm thinking in some ways that move obviously wasn't really all that great. But it's also worth remarking that this is a legacy of the Void map being played in Heart of the Swarm. All right, there we go. Natural economy on the line right now, and I'd say our Protoss is at a sizable advantage at this point in the game, simply based on the fact that he's up on workers, which is not where you would normally be as Zerg in this stage of the game if you had 3 bases at least started by 4 minutes and 30 seconds into the game. So a little bit behind is Prodigy, but he does have possession of the map, and dipwood in some ways does feel a little bit afraid of moving out. Just a little bit. Like, discouraged, not frightened, but really it just doesn't feel like moving out just yet. At this point in time, we have a second cannon going down. Dipwood's just a little bit paranoid of Prodigy's hegemony. That's just one thing that kind of highlights the unease of our Protoss at the moment. Just not saying he doesn't want to move out, just saying that obviously he doesn't want to move out, figuratively speaking as well as literally speaking, because he doesn't have the army supply to match his opponents. Speedlings could crush this in a moment, if not simply waste the force fields. But what I am trying to say here is he is definitely afraid of Prodigy dealing out some damage. He's probably thinking that, well, in the beginning of this game, I lost every single probe that I had. I'm going to have to play conservatively, and I'm going to have to do something to put myself ahead. But it's not really too terribly much that, but I feel like in some regards, definitely the decision-making process here for Prodigy that is giving our Protoss a lead. Now, he can see, of course, that there's a third base. If he's paying attention to this Phoenix, he will see that there's nothing here mining until just now. 1, 2. That's a lot of gateways, or double robo. Well, he'd also seen the Roach Warren by now, but I wonder if double robo is actually overkill. We're talking about double immortal production at this point in the game. I remember hearing stories that back in the beta, this was something very, very common to do. Comes back, sees now that the third is getting fully saturated, and he's gonna go with the Twilight Council beyond that. First observer out, first immortals on the way. Right now, with the number of sentries that are here for Prodigy, what he can tell as a Zerg player in this position is, okay, my opponent isn't going to be doing anything kind of silly cheesy like lashing back at me with DTs at this stage in the game, but that is one thing that Twilight Council allows for a Protoss to do. It will allow him to tech up the Dark Shrine should he choose to. But that's a lot of immortals that we're going to have out here in the early game. I'm wondering if there's going to be a Warp Prism. None indicated yet. So right now, what we're going to have to see coming out from Prodigy is a boatload of Lings. And I gotta say, that is one super awesome, fantastic looking wall off. No forward pylon yet on the minimap, just the Mothership Core cruising out here. Looking like it's ready to go. Ready to rumba, if you will. And now what is the real question for our Protoss? He's ready to move out. He's got Blink on the way, +2 attacks on the way. And we've got Burrow, as well as Tunneling Claws on the way for our Zerg as well. That's something very, very strong in a defensive position, but in many ways also very, very strong in an offensive position. Here we go. He's moving out, and he has got a staggering supply lead, but it's all Roaches and Lings. If those Lings can be siphoned out relatively well, he'll be okay. Right now, this army needs an observer. It does have one. The Roaches coming in here now. One volley of acid saliva comes out, but the force fields are just too many. They can burrow to get away. Some of them will try, and none of them will succeed. More and more force fields just absolutely cutthroating this army. And it looks like that might have been an overspending by dipwood. There is a time warp to make up for the slack, however, and that is 4 immortals at this position. The Roach is trying so hard to get to a forward position, and it looks like they're being siphoned through relatively well. Look at this. Just absolutely being eaten alive. This Protoss, who is actually at 0 workers, now cutting through his opponent, who's at 0 Roaches in the forward position. Wave 2 is going to consist of Hydras. He really needs Lings with this. He's going to need a few Roaches to tank, but I feel like everything he could have done to win this game, that is to say Prodigy, might have just been thrown out of the window. He needed the Roaches to siphon for the gateway units and let the Hydras snipe from behind, but it's not too little too late just yet. Of course, our Protoss does have a sizable advantage. He's got an army supply lead. He's about to move out. He's about to have +2 attacks, and he's already got Blink on top of this. The only thing that's working against dipwood right now is a low force field count, and adding to that, no AoE. Here comes the big engagement. A couple of force fields do come out. The Warp Prism is going past this, above and beyond the call of Protoss, warping in on creep, and now the observer looks like it could be shut down. One shot short, it does not get taken down, and without a GG, we do see Prodigy leave the game. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Benjamin Breaker Novotny. I will see you guys tomorrow night with my next cast. Thank you. Good fight. Good night.